In the southern waters of Japan, there is a small, mysterious island. From satellite images, it looks like a giant battleship floating in the sea. But this is no ordinary island. This is Hashima Island, also known as Battleship Island. It's a place filled with empty buildings, crumbling walls, and forgotten streets. At first glance, it looks like an abandoned ghost town, but the truth behind this island is much darker and deeper. It is a story of power, war, and human suffering, a story that is still being debated to this day. To understand Hashima, we need to go back to the late 1800s. At this time, Japan was changing rapidly. The country had begun its industrial revolution. New factories, railroads, and shipyards appeared everywhere, and to power this growth, Japan needed energy. That energy came in the form of coal, and deep beneath Hashima Island, there was coal buried under the sea. In 1887, the Mitsubishi Corporation purchased the island and started mining coal here. What began as a small operation quickly grew into something massive. Mitsubishi expanded the island using waste rock from the mines. They even built concrete seawalls around it to protect the land from typhoons and harsh waves. Buildings shot up everywhere: apartment blocks, schools, shops, a hospital, even a movie theater. Food and fresh water were shipped in every day from the mainland because there was no space for farming. At its peak, over 5,000 people lived on this tiny island. It became one of the most densely populated places in the world. But behind this industrial success, there was a dark reality. In the early 1900s, Japan wasn't just expanding its industry, it was expanding its empire. The Japanese military occupied territories in Korea, China, and beyond. And with war came an even bigger demand for coal. Hashima's mines worked day and night, especially during World War II. But as Japanese men were drafted to fight in the military, there was no one left to work in the mines. So, the empire turned to forced labor. Thousands of Korean and Chinese people were forcibly brought to Hashima. Many of them were teenagers, as young as 14 years old. They lived in overcrowded, tiny rooms and worked in the dangerous, dark mines below the sea. The conditions were harsh. The air was hot and humid. The tunnels were small, and accidents happened almost every day. Many of these forced laborers never returned home. Some say that those who died were taken to a nearby island to be cremated, and black smoke would rise into the sky as a grim reminder to everyone on Hashima. After the war, Japan surrendered, and the world moved on. But Hashima continued to operate. In the 1950s and 60s, as Japan's economy recovered, coal was once again in high demand. Hashima thrived once more, but by the 1970s, coal was no longer the fuel of the future. Oil had taken over, and in 1974, Mitsubishi shut down the mine. In just a few months, every single resident left the island. Hashima was abandoned. For years, the island remained closed and off-limits. Time and weather slowly broke down the concrete walls. Nature began to reclaim what was left. In the 2000s, as interest in abandoned places grew, Japan reopened the island for tourists. Walkways were built, and visitors came to see the ghost island with their own eyes. But when Japan requested that Hashima become a UNESCO World Heritage Site, something unexpected happened. Countries like South Korea and China objected. Why? Because the Japanese government had left out an important part of the story: the history of forced labor. Survivors and their families demanded the truth be told. They wanted the world to remember the suffering and injustice that took place here. Hashima Island is a symbol of Japan's industrial rise and the hidden human cost behind it. It reminds us that history is not just about nations, but about the people who lived and suffered there.